Hello, I'm Ali Jennings and welcome to this Photoshop video tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to inject portraits with Hollywood glamour. So here we have our original colour shot, and that was shot using an off-camera flash, and I also put a viewfinder honeycomb diffuser onto the front of the flash just to get that spotlight look. Now that we're in Photoshop, we're going to apply a series of techniques to convert that into mono, and our final result will look just like this. So as you can see, we've got that slight Hollywood soft focus look to our mono conversion, and also that spotlight has really been picked up and we've got that very classic look. So what we'll do is get straight into it, and I'll just close down these two files, and the first thing to do is obviously open up the original file, and you'll find that, and it's just called hollywoodbefore.dng. Now as soon as you come to open that up, it'll open directly into Adobe Camera Raw, and what we want to do is just to make some initial enhancements. So as always, to get started, we're going to sort out our white balance. So if you go up to the white balance tool in the top left, shortcut for that is just I. Then we're going to zoom in to our subject, and you can do that just by going Control plus, or on a Mac Option plus, and we're just going to click into the whites of the eyes just to correct our white balance. To get the preview, just to fill the screen, if we just go Control 0, and that'll fill the image to the full document size. Now that we've done that, to make sure that we don't readjust our white balance, we're just going to click back onto the hand tool, and just so that we can get a gauge of exactly what's going on when we make our adjustments, we're going to make sure that we've got our clipping masks switched on. Now to get your clipping warnings appearing for your shadows, just hit U on your keyboard, and for your highlight warnings just hit O. Or alternatively, if you just click up in the top corners of the histogram, you can switch those on and off. Now that we've done that, we can see we've got loads of shadow clipping there, and that's highlighted by the blue mask, so we know that we want to just increase the exposure slightly. So if we grab hold of the exposure slider and just start to increase that, and we can see that clipping just starting to disappear. Now because we sort of blacked out the background, we only want to increase the exposure just to reduce any of the clipping around the subjects themselves. So if we take that up to about 1.35, now just to reduce that a little bit further, we're going to increase our fill light by about 15. And here you'll suddenly see it sort of really starting to recede. And finally, we're just going to increase the contrast just to get a little bit more depth into the face. So I'm going to take that up to about 35 as well. Okay, we're now pretty much finished within ACR, and if we just click Open Image, and that'll open directly into Photoshop Elements itself. And now we're ready to start our mono conversion and how to get the Hollywood look and style. So the first thing we're going to do is just duplicate our background layer. I'm going to do that twice. That way we can just always go back to the original image if something goes wrong along the line. And we can also just check the before and after to see that we're going in the right direction. So to do that, we can either left click and select duplicate layer, or alternatively, a far quicker way is just to drag and drop the background layer onto the new layer icon. And we're just going to do that twice. Then we're going to double click where it says background copy to, and just rename that layer blur. Now before we start with applying any effects, we're actually going to desaturate the image, and we can do that very quickly by just going up to our adjustment layer icon, selecting hue saturation, and then reducing our saturation right down to -100. Once done that and clicked OK, we can now see we've got our black and white image. Now to really get that soft focus look, we're going to now apply a blur layer, and then use a layer blending mode just to get the sharpened image below just to appear through. So if we click onto our blur layer, then up to filter, blur and Gaussian blur, and we want to increase the blur amount up to about 25. If we just click around the image, we can just see how that blurs out all of the detail. Then if we click OK, and that'll apply that to the layer. Now to get the sharper layer below to shine through, if we go over to our layer blending modes, and then just go to soft light and click, and we can now see it's got that soft focus look. So I've just clicked the blur layer off, and back on, and you can really see the effect that that has on the image. Now I just want to increase the highlights a little bit, so if I go over to my layers palette, just click on background copy 2, and now I'm going to create a new levels adjustment layer. So click on the levels adjustment icon, select levels, and what I want to do is just decrease the highlight slider to about 230. And as I do that, you can just see the subject lightening up a little bit. If I just click preview off and back on, you see it's adding just a little bit more impact to the picture. So I'll click OK to apply that. Now at the moment the theatre seats in the foreground and just in the background are almost completely disappeared, and to bring those back, what I'm going to do is just clip the levels layer to the blur layer and then use the mask to help reveal the detail back into those theatre seats. So if I hold down Alt, drag my cursor just between the blur layer and the levels layer and click, you'll see the cursor change, and as soon as I click in between, you'll see a small arrow on the left hand side of the layer icon just saying that it's clipped the levels layer to the blur image layer. Now I can select my brush tool, shortcut for that's just B, make sure that I've got black as my foreground colour, adjust my brush size just by using the square bracket tools. The left square bracket tool will make it smaller and the right square bracket tool will make it larger. Just make sure that you've got a soft brush as well, so click on the brush options, we'll scroll down, pick a brush of about 300, making sure that the edge is soft. And before I start to paint onto the image, I just want to make sure that I've got my layer mask selected, and now all I need to do is start painting over those chairs, and that'll start to bring back the detail. If we take a look at the layer mask on the right hand side, you can just see where that black of the brush is starting to reveal those theatre seats, and what we want to do is just to pick out the detail. Okay, so that's pretty quick, and as we can see now we've got quite a nice lot of foreground detail and background detail in those theatre seats. Now if I just want to check how it was before, if I hold down shift and just click into the levels layer mask, it'll switch off the mask and we can see all of that detail disappear. Shift click back into the mask and it'll re-reveal that detail. Okay, just before I finish off, I just want to crop in the image slightly. So if I go Control minus, just to make sure I can see the whole of the image, just going to select my crop tool, make sure that I've got no restriction selected in the aspect ratio. I'm going to click down in my bottom right hand corner and drag straight to the top. And I just want to take a little bit of the height out of the image. So just going to grab that top anchor point, pull it down, and then click the green arrow to commit that. Now I just want to quickly sharpen the image, so if I click back onto the background copy layer, go up to enhance and adjust sharpness, then I want an amount of about 65%, a radius of about 1 pixel. I also want to make sure that my more refined icon is ticked. If I click into the preview and then back out, I can just see how that sharpened up the detail. Now click OK, and once the sharpening has been applied, I can just go to my layer palette, select flatten image, and there I have my final Hollywood style portrait.